I just made a back of envelope calculation that for 100 tons per day waste in a city, and like, city like Delhi has about 10,000 or 7,000. For 100 tons per day waste, if we use energy conversion technology, we will be freeing land anything from 500 square meter to 1,000 square meter. Now, in a place like Mumbai, which means it is 10 to 20 crores, and a 100 TPD plant is 1 megawatt, which means if I convert this cost in a city like Mumbai, I can even pay 20 crore per megawatt for a waste to energy plant, and tariff can still be zero because the land, if it is allowed to be traded as an investment substitution. So this economic perspective of waste to energy, we haven't so far looked at. With the result, the waste to energy plants tariff has become very high, and they are becoming economic non-starters. Before going further, I would request now, Professor, please, if you could combine all of this into your price theory and see where you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Being the fag end of this particular session, I can already tell you that I have mapped all the respected guests who are dozing on their, sitting on their chairs. I have plenty of stock of chalk that I often use in my classroom. Okay. The second, Mr. Chairman, is you need to really remind me because I'm in the business of talking. So, and I can already see there are a number of issues which have been put before us, and the most important thing, do we need renewable energy, 175 gigawatt? Of course we need it. We don't have choice. Probably we have to go even further from there. The next point is, are we really ready for this? We think we are ready for this, but perhaps we are not ready for this. Reasons are follows. The most important reason is, remember, whenever you fiddle with the power system, Mr. Chairman, I will come back to the non-electricity part later on. So whenever we fiddle with the power system, there is one traffic manager, he's sitting, and he's a system operator. He's always worried, what will happen to my system? His security, the system security is the paramount. So given the current amount of capacity mix we have just about 41,000, 42,000 megawatt of hydro, which should have been, technically speaking, at least 25% plus of our system. And we are expecting not much to add there if perhaps we are able to get something from the northeast, or we are able to move and tap more resources in our neighborhood. This means that all this new capacity which will come up, as soon as you have a larger the share of variable wind energy in the system, you need to have a redundancy both in generation as well as in transmission, which actually also reflects on the indirect cost that any renewable energy unit that we are consuming, which comes because of the variability inherent into it. And unfortunately, in spite of having some of the tools with us, which is the cheapest battery that we can have, which is pump storage. A dam is the cheapest battery that we have. We have about 4,800 megawatt of pump storage capacity in the country. And I can tell you time and again, at least on last few occasions, I have tried to find out how many of these pumps have actually been used. I have not been able to get a really correct answer as of now. Only at one occasion somebody said, since it has been set up, once it was used. So we are not really using the asset for which we have paid for. It's a pump storage. We have also paid for the pumps. I have not yet been able, so I may be wrong, but as far as I can see, we have not really made use of this particular asset. If we currently say if Germany has gone up to 50% over a couple of weekends, few weekends, it came from solar. How Germany is able to deal with all that? It has some hydro within its own country, but it has also contractual relationships with the pump hydro available in Austria or in Scandinavian countries. And that's why they are able to absorb it. And of course, they have a variety of primary and secondary responses which are available. We haven't done that part, number one. The second thing is, which the previous gentleman mentioned about forecasting. Earlier we had this so-called RRF mechanism. Now we have very recently a new amendment which again brings back that rule that we should be improving our forecast. Of course we should be improving our forecast, but we haven't been able to do that. I had the privilege of, and I'm saying it privilege, of having some data from some private operators after perhaps 3 years of persuasion and to analyze that what is the behavior, what is the result of current forecasting they are doing, and how best it can be improved. We were able to improve upon it, of course, but not as best as what is it's being done in Europe. We need to do it. 175 gigawatt, we need to do it even in a much better way. And that's a new area of energy analytics. Perhaps if I'll come back to that in future. This is all about the large systems. Another important thing is we should also keep in mind renewables are our requirements. We just can't live without them. The reason is same. It's our 90% crude is coming from outside the country. 180 million tons of coal we imported last year. We are really heading for a very serious problem here. We need to really look around for other sources. Coming to the off-grid, is it the solution? Can we really pump more and more renewable energy and provide solution to millions of people who do not have access to electricity as of now? Yes, we should. Are we doing it in a more or less technically and financially and institutionally sustainable manner? No, absolutely not. We are not doing it. In fact, many of those projects which have been funded through public money, and my apologies to if there is anybody present from MNRE, is perhaps we have not been able to deal with that, and we don't even have an actual account of as of now that how many of these projects are actually functional, because we haven't built the sustainability aspect. And I had the first-hand experience of really remote plants we visited in MP, in UP as well as in Ladakh. And in each of these cases, they have failed because of one reason or other. I'm not saying they're not stories of success. There are plenty of them. To this, I just relate to a non-renewable energy part of it. The first time I went to Kathmandu was probably 2001 on 10. You walk into any street in Kathmandu, at that time also, even now, any this normal hardware store you will find. These solar water heaters are just available just around the corners. You just can't miss them. There's so many of them. Almost every other shop which is into the hardware store, and he's selling it. We have never had that situation in India. Why? Because we made it an elite class of it, saying because it is subsidized, it is something which probably is not good. Look at it, the psychology of this. You're selling it cheap maybe because it's not good. So we haven't been able to. And in Nepal, by the way, there was no subsidy. It was all private initiative. And there was more deployment of solar thermal in Nepal than we had actually in Delhi, in Kathmandu than we had. We have missed there. I think we are not doing our homework properly in a number of cases. Number of policies are perhaps, if I can use a really very extreme word, is designed to fail. I have used that many often at many instances. Yeah, 1 minute, okay. I'll try to do a bit of justice here to a number of points. Well, if it is about waste to energy, if I had to make a PPT, which I was trying in fact, but then I really thought of not doing so, the title of that slide would have been What a Waste. We have about 147 megawatt of waste to energy projects. And these are, I say definitely these are designed to fail. And I have had really tried to get into a plant which came up in Lucknow, never ran for a single day. One of my students was interested to look into that. They were not allowed to enter. One in Kanpur, which came up with a public issue, collected money, not a single unit of electricity produced. Timarpur, perhaps third time revived. Reason is we don't do our homework properly. Our waste is not really waste. We actually take out all the high calorific value content and sell it to the kabadi wala, isn't it? There is a value there. What we actually sell is just the vegetable waste or something which the kabadi wala refuses to pick up and pay you some bucks for that. An instance which comes to my mind is, very quickly I'll try to summarize here, is in Kanpur I was very happy to see once a very perhaps learned higher official, he came up with a 2-bin system in the city. They had a green bin and a red bin everywhere. I said, wow, excellent. I said, this is a failure. Why? Because ultimately you never told the people of the city then why you have put these 2 bins. There was no education at all. Not only that, the people who are coming in the morning to collect the garbage, they will collect and put it in the same truck again. There's no education. So why are we wasting this public money? We don't do really our homework. To the very last of it, I think I can say in the off-grid context, of course, REC is my favorite topic, but I'll just skip that for now, is in the context of solar rooftops in future. Like I said, we need really this pump storage for large grid integrated systems, but batteries are going to be there, and perhaps we are already seeing some disruptive innovations that batteries will be part and parcel of our energy system in future. And we will also see a system that currently the way we have a social systems, the social network, very likely you will have the social energy networks in future. These are the small home system. They'll actually probably talk to each other. I can already see that probably another 10 years, 15 years time, or maybe even earlier will be there. And there's a lot of energy analytics also which will be involved there. And we have to start working, and there's a lot of work to be done from the private sector as well, that if you have to make it work, perhaps some initiatives have to start right away. Thank you very much.